We told you from the jump that baby oil was a big thing in the whole Diddy scandal, that the Fed seized 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
And it is the thing that people have talked so much about because it was such a
It's so
bizarre.
odd. And remember,
Right.
we spoke with Mark
His attorney.
Agnifilo, his lawyer, on one of our documentaries, The Downfall of Diddy, on Tubi, and we asked him about it, and he didn't quite know what to say about it.
He kind of made a joke
He
about
kind of
it.
made a joke about it.
Right.
But now we know at least what one of the accusers in a civil lawsuit,
A brand new accuser.
a brand new one, is saying the purpose of the baby oil, and it's not what we thought.
No, this accuser, who is filed as a John Doe, says that the baby oil was laced and that the purpose of placing the baby oil on people involved in these freak-offs
Was to drug him.
right.
And that according to this lawsuit, that Diddy would have the person slather baby oil all over them that is laced with some substance. We don't know whether he's talking about GHB or something like that. We just don't know. But it would render the person kind of semi-conscious, I suppose.
Yeah, the way it's laid out in this lawsuit is a man who says he met Diddy back in 2007. He was a Vegas adult male entertainer, said he was retained for dances and so forth, but then it turned into sort of these sex parties that we've heard all about. And he says the baby oil was slathered all over him to the point that it was dripping off. And he says after it was applied, he began to feel drowsy, disoriented, all of those things, and became more sort of pliable to do the sort of sexual things that Diddy was directing him to do, according to the lawsuit.
As he says, Diddy watched. We're not going to get more specific. It's about as graphic as it gets, based on this lawsuit. But suffice it to say, Diddy was up close and personal watching.
It's extremely graphic, and as you pointed out, the feds pointed out those 1,000 bottles of baby oil. That's mentioned in the criminal indictment, but never further than that. It sounded like kink shaming, you know, sort of maybe he was into baby oil, but there's no crime involved with that. It looked like it was just a pot shot at Diddy. If this is part of the forensics of what they gathered from his compound during those raids, it's going to add an entirely new dimension to this case.
Now, Charles, the one thing that I didn't quite know from the lawsuit, although I'm assuming, is that if this is true, I guess they would have taken the bottle and unscrewed the
It would have
cap
been opened.
and then pour in whatever the
Right.
drug is and then close it. But I don't think he would have done it to 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
No, but you would keep the if this is true, you keep the baby oil stocked and then you open it and put whatever in when you need it.
What I'm getting at is, was there a stash allegedly with this drug in it that the feds
did the
seized?
feds find that?
That's right.
Well, I'm curious, and we don't know. This is a civil lawsuit filed by this accuser, but we don't know if the feds have had any contact with this person.
Right.
Have they shared this information with the feds? And was this person, I don't know if this was clear from the lawsuit or not, Derek, was this person ever, did they say that they were flown or transported? Did they fly or drive on Diddy's dime to any of these parties?
There's the usual allegations of expenses being paid for transport and things like that. So it'll be
Because
interesting
those
to
things
see.
are part of the federal.
But this,
indictment.
no, but this could be too. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, no,
but
I
you need
agree.
you need the interstate element, you know, for
No, I
this
was saying
man
in
act.
addition to the baby
In
oil.
addition to, but the
Yeah.
baby oil itself, if this was a means of drugging somebody, if there's proof of that, even if it wasn't from one state to another, it would still be relevant in the case.
Yeah.
So we don't know. But by the way, not the only case that was filed yesterday.
Right. There was also another one filed.
Two other ones.
Two others that were filed?
There were two
Boy, these
women
were coming in.
Two women, each of whom filed their own lawsuit, but they both say they were together in the 90s and went to a party at a famous club in New York and ended up at Trump Tower, the Trump Hotel in Midtown New York, and that they were taken up to the penthouse, both of whom say they were raped. And they claim at Diddy's direction. And
this was also an allegation of they were served a drink. Were they?
That's right.
Yeah.
They said they were drugged and then they were raped. They were, even though they're separate lawsuits, they're both filed by Tony Busby, who's the lawyer who's filed a lot of these. And it's very clear when you read it that two of these women were together because each says there was another woman present.
We did hear back from Diddy, who has given his sort of stock response to all of these. He says, I can't deal with them individually, but there were never any sexual assaults of adults, minors, women, or men. He says this after each of these are filed. I do want to note that the one filed by the male is filed by Lisa Bloom, not by Tony Busby, although the two later ones by the women that you mentioned at the Trump Hotel incident, those were Busby laws.